What is the secret to success?
Self-discipline in everything.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.
The only way to do great work is to love what you do.
What are you gonna do?
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Train Aid Performance Podcast. I am your host, Jordan Sullivan, and this is the podcast where we speak with high performers to find out what they do every day to be the best at what they do. Today, we are completing part 2 of our 2-part chat with UFC lightweight Brad Quake Riddell. So for those of you who are returning from part 1, you would have heard Brad talk about his fight withdrawal due to COVID-19. You also heard him talk about his early career in Thailand and how he made the transition to city kickboxing under the tutelage of Eugene Behrman. In this episode, we discuss Brad's obsession with obtaining the extra 1%. We discuss his additional training in sports psychology, recovery, and breathwork, and we break down what it is that motivates him to do what he does. There is plenty of golden nuggets for anyone that is looking to build an ironclad mental fortitude just like Brad, so let's get to it. Because that's a good point to start, is you saying that you didn't really have anyone to be accountable for and that you would just drop the thing, like drop your pads and go home. And now you're Mr. Accountability. And I think anyone, and I think if I talk to Shane when I get him on, talk about when you guys locked up in the bubble, everyone was talking about Mr. Accountability. Like Brad's the enforcer. You go around, like you slip up on your diet, you don't miss training, like you're getting everyone out of bed on time. How did that come? Like that's a big change, eh?
Oh yeah, well, like I say that like I would not go to training, but like I would, you can ask Woody. Like I'd always train. I like always was real diligent with like making sure I was ready for fights. But I think it was just but I just worked myself into the dirt, like holding pads and stuff like that. And yeah, but I definitely still did train a lot, like because I was fighting all the time. But also the thing was like I didn't have to train like as ruthlessly. Like I didn't have to do these camps that we do now. You got 3 fights a year, so you just do these periodized camps. But back then I was fighting every month, man. So like I'd fight, have a week off or half a week off, and then like 2 weeks later I was in fight week again. Sometimes. So I would just consistently train, and some days I could train once, some days I'd train twice, some days I'd have a rest, and I was just constantly in pretty good shape. So it was a little bit different then, but I was always ready. Like there was never a time I went into a fight where I wasn't like. But then when I had nothing else to do but train, like when I moved to New Zealand, like yeah, man, like fuck, you should definitely hold yourself accountable for everything.
Yeah, I got a note here written down to talk about is like your changes to training and like the importance of self-education, because that's something that again you do that a lot of other fighters don't. Like it is really deep dive into your training and like, okay, like even with what we do, okay, I'm eating this, why am I eating this? Like what are we doing? Like what am I fueling up here? Why is this different to that? If we're cutting weight, why are we doing it? Same with your training, like why am I periodizing this? Like why am I training lactic this day and then alactic this day, blah blah blah. Were you always kind of like that, or was it through that process, like when you got back into, say, training with city kickboxing and everything leveled up? Is that when you kind of developed that, or what kind of brought on that mindset?
That probably came from when I was in Thailand and having to train myself, right? I had to like find ways to train and new things. And like with Woody, I was always questioning Woody about why I was doing shit like specific strength or explosive stuff, or like some days we'd be doing something real weird. I'd be like, what the hell was this? And I've always sort of been like that. And then when I came home, we started training like a specific system from a guy in America. And it was weird, man. It was weird to me. Like Eugene had me doing it. I think for Steve Moxon, and like I'd be doing like 15-second intervals and 10-second intervals, and sometimes a minute 30, and on different days. And I'm like, what the fuck is all this? Like, I was so confused. I was like, what do you mean kick the pads for 15 seconds, bro? Kick the pads for 5 minutes? Like, what do you mean? The round's like 3 minutes long, 5 minutes long, And so when he told me what we were doing, I like went and did the course. I was like, what the hell is this? And now when I listened to that guy, I'm not saying his name because I want to sell courses for him because he hasn't replied to my email with questions yet. I was like, oh man, there's like a huge gap in the sport knowledge wise. So yeah, once I discovered how far ahead of the game he was, and I was like, oh, there's other people like this in different areas, you know what I mean? And then I guess I bumped into you as well. We had a bit of a it took a bit of time for me to trust you as well, you know, like I was always real skeptical of not just you, but like anyone I ever trained with. I was always real skeptical of like stuff for a while, you know, even with that first conditioning we started with that guy, it took me ages to truly like trust it. It took me a couple of fight camps, and you know, with you, it took me a couple of diets, and then because I was always hooked on like eating fuck all to make weight, I thought that was the way to do it. And you were trying to feed me heaps, and I was like, oh, that's not right. So yeah, I guess it sort of progressed from there. It snowballed from there, but yeah.
Yeah, as a side note, I remember I was talking to someone about this the other day. They were like, "What was it like when you and Brad started working together?" And I was like, "Man, it was so shit." Hey, I was like, "I've never had a client that I didn't want to work with more than Brad." I was like, "Man, he's just like not doing anything. Like he's questioning everything." I was like, "Man, I don't know. Like, luckily, like we got through it and we persisted." But it is like that. It's just like a curious mind, though, and like it's kind of the way you are. It's like you're super analytical, going back to that and deep diving into it and breaking it down. Do you think that has like runoff effects in your training? Like when you understand what you're doing with your training, do you find it easier to train, and you can train smarter, harder, faster, better? Do you think?
100%. Because if you know like why you're doing a specific, for instance, like one of the things like is won't really elaborate too much, but like, you know, you've got a minute 30 and you want to boot your heart rate as high as you can, right? You want to go balls to the wall, like leave yourself fucked because you got a big rest after it. But some days you're tired, right? You come to the gym and you're pretty tired, or I don't know, man, you just feel like, oh, it's only a minute 30. And if you don't know like the science behind it or what the adaptation is going to be or what it's going to cause, you can just cruise through that minute 30 and not have any like guilt or, you know, because you don't understand the repercussions potentially in the future. But if you like fully understand why you're trying to boot your heart rate as high as you can in that minute 30 and what the adaptation is going to be later and the reasoning for that specific session, it's much more motivating to just go boom and whack it up, you know, when you know the reason you're doing it.
Did you come across guys like that when you were coaching that were like that? Did you see that where people were like very much like that? There was these people that wanted to know all the details, and then there were just guys that were just happy to just go with whatever you said.
Yeah, the majority, maybe it's changing now, but the majority just, nah, not even now, it's not changing. The majority now just go and train. They just turn up and do what the coach says, you know. Um, Maybe I'm a bit of an outlier, I'm not too sure, but yeah, man, I didn't come across many that were like quite as inquisitive as I was. But at the start, I wasn't very inquisitive, bro. I was forced to be that way when I started coaching and stuff like that, or when I got left to my own devices. That's when I was forced to be like that.
Yeah, because that was going to be my next question. I guess like that's the whole point of this podcast, right? Is like I get to hang around with you guys and see all this, and I get to see it. And people ask me all the time, they're like, "What is different about Brad? What is different about A? What is different about B? What is different about this guy?" And it's hard to describe because at this level, everyone's tough, everyone trains hard, everyone does it. It's all these other things that's difficult to explain, and like it's the mental fortitude, it's the eagerness to learn, it's to opening yourself up to being a sponge. It's like when you talk to someone and you're giving them information, they're not just taking it, they're taking it on board and thinking about it and questioning it. It's all these little things. That type of mental fortitude and that mindset, how long did it take to develop? Or was there any specific things that, you know, stand out to you like, yeah, that's when I changed? Or was it like a accumulation of all these events of, you know, you played footy, you breaking your leg, you going to Tiger, you doing this training, you shit kicking all around China, doing these weird things? Was it like all those things that accumulated to you being like this?
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely accumulation, but I came from pretty good stock, you know, like my like mental fortitude just came from my parents and stuff. Like my dad is like a fireman for like 38 or 9 years and just hard as nails, always been hard as nails. And my mom's the same, man. She was like tough as shit, bro. She would run massive marathons. She'd be injured and just like she still does it, bro. Still has like injuries, like broken foot, and just walks on it and stuff. Like she's crazy. She's so tough. And I think it just came from them, man. I just grew up conditioned from watching them like that. I was like, oh, stuff like that doesn't stop my parents, shouldn't stop me, And so I think that's like a runoff of their like physicality and mental fortitude. That's where I picked that up. But yeah, a lot of that stuff's just crazy ass trips I've had in China and stuff like that, and come across real weird situations. And yeah, man, I think I've come across nearly everything now, especially with that last week we had in America. Don't think we can top that.
Yeah, let's not try and top it anyway. But it's a good point. It's like adversity brings growth, and that's like I sat down, I meditated after that, and I was like, man, that was quite possibly in my professional career one of the worst things that I've ever been a part of. But then when you sit back and you think about it and you unwrap it and you go, well, look, like there are positives to take from it, and like, man, like you said, there's probably not going to be too many times where we have to face a trip like that. What importance or how important do you think that is? Like, how important do you think that is that people who want to do what you do get to the place that you are in? How important is it that they go through things like that?
I don't necessarily think they have to go through that. Maybe understanding that, what some other people have gone through to get to where they are, if they can like fully understand and grasp some of the difficulties or challenges people come across, and be pretty grateful that it's been smoother for them, they'll be fine. They'll be able to be just as successful. Definitely don't think they have to go through it, but definitely don't want them to go through it. Some of the trips, it'll be funny if they went through, like especially some of those China ones. But yeah, like I wouldn't wish last week on my worst enemy. You know what I mean? Like, that's a fucked feeling. Especially after putting that much work in. And like our first thing I did was trying to message Gregor. I was trying to get hold of Gregor to be like, fuck man, I'm sorry. So, it's his comeback, and he would have worked hard for that too, and that happens. But he was a dude, bro. He was just like, hey man, COVID keeps taking away a fight every show, and this time it was us. He's like, it is what it is. He's like, we're going to fight, don't worry. And he was just a dude about it, man. And he's a good guy. He's just a gamer. He's collegiate. He's just in there to become the world champ, and so am I. So how it should be. Obviously you need animosity for the business to run and entertainment wise, but that's what Izzy's for. I just like to go in there and fight them, shake their hand, walk out, see who was the better man.
Speaking about the mental fortitude and even that attitude that you have, and like being able to say that and take it all on board, what importance do you think, or what importance do you place on all the other training that you do that isn't fighting? I guess a better question is, do you think all of that other training like helps you cope with that? Does it help you get through something like that?
Oh yeah. You've got to have a good you've definitely got to have a sports psychologist. I've had one since I was 20 in Thailand. Like I definitely couldn't have afforded one. He's an insanely qualified and amazing sports psychologist that I first had in my earlier days, and he was just a mate of mine, Scotty, and he was a mate of Wood's. Wood introduced me to him, bro, when I was really, really young. I was like, oh, you should chat to this guy. I used to go see Scotty every now and then, and like back then I was naive, and I wouldn't even like. I wish now telling my younger self to go and see him every week, because I had the opportunity to, and I didn't because I was young, and he'd always chase me up, on WhatsApp, being like, Brad, get down here, come do a session. And I'd be like, oh, and I'd turn up. And most time, other times I'd see him would be having beers or something at the pub somewhere with Wood and Phuket. But Scotty, gave me like a winner's mentality from a young age. And yeah, man, that's just been ingrained in me. Forever, really.
What type of things do you, because that's tough as like a 20-year-old, because like I think back to what I was doing when I was 20. Like I was at university, and I think back, man, if I knew what I knew now going back then, I would make the most of so many more opportunities that I had for there. But like I don't think I took a lot of those opportunities. Do you think like that? Like everyone has 20/20 vision in hindsight, but were you actively, do you think a part of you going, okay, like, yeah, you probably didn't want to see Scotty, but you knew that there was some value in that, so something was drawing you to it?
Yeah, well, fuck, he was a lad, bro. He was just a lad too. That was what was drawing him to me. Like we had like we clicked. You know, we had good banter. Like he was like Woody. You know, pretty much everyone that Woody's ever introduced me to. You know, I'm sure there's been a couple of rotten eggs, but the majority he's introduced me to have been just lads. So I've just haven't even like bothered you know, critiquing them or getting to know them. I've just trusted them, being like, yeah, he's a lad. Woody says he's a lad. So I was like that with Scotty, bro. And it was, man, I wish I could go back and give myself a slap in the face for not going and spending more time with him. Because now he lives in Dubai and spends a lot of time in England, like advising and doing like seminars for like really, you know, high powered people. So I was like, fuck. And he's the man. He still messages me, you know, he still messages me and checks in on me and stuff, you know. And then, yeah, he's just a good dude, bro. Good dude. And so is Dave Neath. You know, Dave Neath's a fucking man too. And I'm just really, really lucky that I've met these two guys.
And this is, I guess this is more of a question for, say, the coaches or especially like young practitioners that'll be listening in, and hearing this from an athlete's perspective is probably really important. But how important is that relationship? Like for you, if you want to work with someone, because this is your life's work. This is your career. This is your dreams. This is all like 14, 15 years of work. And then we've got the opportunity to have an input in that and help you progress there. But you've got to be receptive to that. And like you said, you've got to be open to have that relationship. How important is that relationship, say, if you're going to seek out for these? What are you looking for, like, as an athlete for, say, if you've got Scotty? Like, what did Scotty have? What did Dave have that you're like, okay, yeah, I can work with these guys and I can get something from them?
Oh, man, most of it's like feel, you know, like I'm super picky to who I let into my team, you know what I mean? Like into my squad and who I actually want to spend time with and listen to. Yeah, I can't really like nail all qualities, but like if I meet you and we click, it's like, you know, it's genuinely it. And if you can put up with my the way I am with my like moods and like my bluntness and stuff, sometimes like you're pretty suited to being part of the team. You know, if you don't, because I'm pretty blunt and straightforward with shit. So if you don't take offense to it and just see it as like, you know, I'm just trying to progress, you know. And yeah, man, I'm not too sure what qualities they are, but yeah, mainly putting up with a heap of shit, good banter. Yeah, you'll fit in well. You can put up with Lopez because he's usually hanging around.
There's no secret. Like, you do lots of different types of training, right? Like, this is something that I always find myself trying to explain to people when it's like, man, these guys, UFC fighters, bro, like, what's the secret? What's the secret that they do? They just, man, what training schedule do they have? And it's like, man, it's not that. It's like everything else that they do. It's like everything they do in between the training and stuff that's massive. What are some of the biggest or most important things that's influenced your MMA training in the last couple of years that wasn't MMA training?
I feel like I'm running out of hours in the fucking day with all the training I'm trying to cram in lately. But well, for me personally, bro, was is like all the recovery stuff and all like the stuff, all the slower pace stuff, right? Because I just went balls to the wall, man, for like 10 years solid, like gnarly training, man. Like I did not slow down. Injuries went through them, like fractured spines, dislocated knees, like broken ribs. I've just trained through it, and it's mental. It's as dumb as it sounds. And I just always thought train more and more and more, like get stronger, fitter, faster. And then, you know, fuck, what am I now? 29. Now, or like a couple of years ago, I started incorporating like, you know, all the like lower intensity stuff, like swimming, stretching, the breathing, the, you know, the soft tissue release, like all the recovery stuff, man. And like my body fucking feels way younger than when it did when I was younger. So for me personally, it was like, yeah, it was all the like 1% stuff. You'd fucking love to hear that, wouldn't you? Train aid made me who I am.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's gonna be a sound bite now for the next 2 years. Yeah, I was gonna say we tick that one off. We can close the show up now and see you later.
Definitely that stuff, man.
That stuff's crazy, but hey, because it's like, I reckon that's probably the conversation I have the most, because people are like super interested. I think when we're sucked into it and we do it every day, like it's just our lives, right? You kind of like, you forget what it's like for someone on the outside to be looking in. And it's a question I always get from them, like, man, how do these guys, like, what's their training schedule? Why are they so elite? Like, what's this? And it's like, man, I don't, like, anyone can turn up to City Kickboxing and just do the training schedule. Like, and lots of people do, but not many people, there's not that many people in the gym. It's a, man, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing gym, but there's only so many people that can be in the top 1% of that gym. You know what I mean? It's like, what is the difference between those guys? And it's trying to explain to them. It's like, man, it's almost not neurosis, but it's like this obsession with everything else that isn't that training. Whereas like most people just go home, go to sleep, and that's it. And they'll wake up, go to training. It's like all you guys all share that common thing. It's like, no, I'm going to go see Dave. I'm going to go do my breathing. I'm going to do my recovery.
Yeah, they do that, and I think they don't understand. They don't understand it's important, a lot of them, but they don't understand like the damage, bro. It's not understanding how. Okay, when you understand the damage, you understand how important it is. Like when you understand the damage you're doing to your body by not doing this shit, it's fucking terrifying. Like when you're not doing this breath work and, you know, regulating breathing and like allowing your body to get back to homeostasis, you know, and not eating properly, and like the long-term damage you're doing it should scare the shit out of you. And that's what it did, bro. It scared the shit out of me. I was like, man, I'm gonna be fucked. I'm slowly killing myself, was the way I looked at it. You know, the amount I overtrained, underate, under-rested. And it's just that old saying, less is more. I know everyone always says that, but it actually is true. But you can't just do less and expect to be more. Less is more means doing less high-intensity training and adding more of that other 1% stuff. Doesn't mean just do less training and rest more. It means do less high-intensity training and do more of other types of training.
How much do you reckon all of that stuff is going to change like the sport of MMA, or have you seen how all of that is changing the sport of MMA in just the couple of years that you've been really deep diving into it?
Not yet. I don't think it's quite caught up yet. I think it's quite caught there yet, but it will in the next, like, you know, couple of years. I'm definitely going to see the results, man. But yeah, I don't think it's quite there yet. It's like an 80-20 ratio, bro. 80% of the time you should be doing like, you know, lower intensity skill work and all that other stuff and all the breath and whatever. You know, I could jerk on about that stuff for ages. And then 20% of the time is that high intensity, heavy training. That's a good way to look at it, as like an 80-20 ratio. That's someone else's quote, by the way, not mine.
Yeah, we'll claim the 80-20 principle on the Train 8 podcast straight off the bat. But do you think you're actively going after these techniques to try and get that jump? Do you think that like subconsciously or consciously you're looking around going, okay, man, like this is probably a couple years ahead of where we're going to be, but I need to do this?
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm trying to do it to get our team ahead, and like the younger generation, the old young sacks at the gym that are just all gung ho, aren't quite understanding it yet. But I was like that as well, trying to make them not make my mistakes. But I'm also doing it for myself, bro, to feel better. Because, you know, it wasn't that long ago that I'd wake up every morning feeling like shit, like so sore, so stiff, so rigid, hungry. And the only way to get going was just training, and like even like doing small shit, like sitting down in a chair for a while at a cafe. I'd be like, oh, my fucking back, you know. And now I feel great every day I wake up. So I'm doing it for like myself in the long run, you know, as well. And I mean, probably end up divorced if my missus had to put up with me being sore and grumpy and shitty all day every day. So
that was the next thing that I was going to ask. Like, how is your perspective on all of this like change? You've obviously got like a young family now. You got Bert the bully, the real man of the house, kicking around, and then like how has all that changed since that's all come to be?
Everyone's asked me like, you know, like my dad told me, he was like, oh, when you hold your daughter, or didn't know it was a daughter then, he's like, when you hold your first baby, it's mean. It's like a hell of an experience. And that was true. When I held her, I was like, fuck, this is cool as. And but my motivation for fighting all that sort of stuff hasn't changed that much, you know what I mean? Like that's a different drive. You know. Obviously it's mean because why it's mean is because I can spend heaps of time with her other than this 4 weeks, but because, you know, I live a unique life that allows me to be home a lot, and it allows my missus, my partner, not have to work. She can spend more time with my daughter. Where am I going with this? Not much change, bro. What changed is life's way cooler. I think it was a good time for me to have a kid. Really good time for me to have a kid. Like I miss her a lot, and when I do get to hang out for her, I'm like, man, this is cool as, like, you sort of when you're like single with a partner, you love having time with like the lads, like you want to have more of it and all that sort of stuff. But when you got a kid and your partner, I'm just real content at chilling at home with them. I'm like, this is mean. Like, I want to leave the gym as soon as I finish training and go home. Maybe that's just the new dad thing. I'm not too sure, but I don't know. I'm pretty good at reading myself, and I feel like it's going to stay like that. Yeah, man, it's unique to have a kid. Having kids are dope. It's a blessing for sure.
Because that's the question I wanted to get to, man, because a lot of people, man, I don't have kids, so it's like hard for me to comment on, but you hear a lot of people say it's like, it changes what they're fighting for. It changes what they drive. It's like, I've got a new reason to get up every day. It's like, my old man said to me, I remember he said when he had my older brother, he said the first time he walked out the door to go to work, he was like, it was a very different experience, because he was like, oh my God, like, my life isn't my own anymore. It's, I've got other people who are dependent on me doing my life properly to live their life type thing. So like, what I want to get at is like, does it change it? Like, does it change your motivation for what you're doing? Or is it, like you said, can you keep it separate and it just kind of fuels this innate thing that you've kind of always had that's pushing you and getting you going? Does it just add fuel to that fire?
Yeah, it's like a little more fuel, man. But I'm very confident. I mean, before I had my daughter, I was very confident where I'm going to end up in the sport. I was like, it was very well off and very successful, just because of all the work that I've done in my life and that I still currently do. So the fact that I get to share that with her and give her a mean life because of the hard work I've done, that's mean. I don't need more motivation, right? I'm going to carry on the way I am, keep fucking shit up, give her a dope ass life. And the one thing that did change, bro, is actually my mate at the gym said this to me, Steve Warby, when we were about to spar one day. He was like, oh, how's Marissa, how's the pregnancy? And I was like, yeah, she's good, man, like everything's healthy. And he's like, bro, you wait. He's like, when your daughter or when your child is born, he's like, the love for your partner just magnifies through the roof. It's like it's a different feeling, bro. Like creating something like that. And yeah, man, I always buzz out. Quite often buzz out. Like, oh, she'll be like feeding her, and I'm like, fucking hell, like my partner's what's keeping her alive. When I watch her feed her, I'm like, oh man. And he was right, man. Like, it does. You look at your partner a different way. Like, not just as your partner and your mate and stuff like that. You're like, it's a lot. She's like a life force. It's buzzy.
And I guess especially with you is this sense of introspection, right? Like being able to like even acknowledge that and be like, oh shit, like all this is going on. It's like, this is why I'm motivated, to recognize that and recognize this type of motivation to that one. And I think it's that those extra little things like I was talking about, where people are like, why is Brad so good? It's like, man, yeah, like anyone can do what you do. Anyone can jump on a bike and go ham on the assault bike and try to keep up with you. But it's all these other things, right? Like it's the ability like to stay introspective and like recognize these things. Whereas I feel like especially like a lot of athletes as well, just kind of not push it all to the side, but like, oh man, like F that shit. Like who needs it? Like who needs all that stuff?
They'll learn.
That's it. Hey, Quake. Angry Brad, not so angry Brad these days, but can be angry Brad, and I'll probably make him angry Brad if I keep him too much longer. But last 4 questions I want to ask you before we get going. These are rapid fire questions, and it's always cool to hear these answers. Let's get started with our very first one. Who's your favorite fighter in the UFC at the moment, other than your roommate that you're staying with?
Oh, fuck, not very rapid fire. I like Thug Nasty, bro. Yeah. He's probably definitely one of my favorites at the moment. That little, he's from like Arkansas, something like that, like the grappler. You might not know who he is, bro. Thug Nasty. He's the one that's like, I want my camo shorts.
Oh, yeah. I know this dude. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I gotta watch him live when Anderson Silva fought, Uriah Hall. We were there for that, so we got to go sit cage side as well with Mr. Famous. We're with Israel, and he's a dope fighter. He's a mean grappler, and but I don't know if you guys remember that Israel made a comment about the Twin Towers a few years back.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings comment, though, for everyone listening. They're from New Zealand. It's Lord of the Rings. That's like, it's as big as Pulp Fiction in their weird little country. Get off his back.
Yeah, so anyway, it's been a couple of years since that, but we were like in the lobby of that bloody stink-ass hotel we just stayed at, and we're going to the fights, and he was going to his actual fight, right? So we were going to about watch him. And he just comes up to Israel before his fight, and he was like, I don't like what you said about the Twin Towers those years ago, and just called him out on it, bro. And he's a, like, middleweight. And he just staunched Izzy up. And Izzy was like, I'm sorry, man, like, apologize and stuff. And then they shook hands, and I was like, damn, that guy's got the balls, eh?
What a beast. Bro, they gave him the camo pants, eh?
Yeah, they gave him the camo shorts for that fight. He got them for that fight. So I was like, from that day on, I was like,
bro, if he's staunching Israel in the middle of the motel, imagine what he's doing to the UFC merch team when they're telling him he can't have it.
They didn't give a shit, bro. He was funny as, and then he what was the other thing he did? Oh, he went on a rant afterwards about wearing masks. So I was like, oh, well, at least he says what he wants.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Most influential person in your life to date?
Marissa, definitely my partner.
Behind every great man is a better woman. That is for sure. So favorite quote. That's a good one. I'm interested in this one, actually.
Oh, bro, I'd have to go find it for you. But I actually think I posted on my Instagram a while ago. It was something about no man or woman can judge somebody or critique somebody that steps in the cage to like strip themselves down and fight. You know, it was something along those lines. I'll find it and I'll send it to you so you can put it on this podcast. But fuck, it's mean.
I'll put that up. 2 more to go. Something that you do every single day, like a non-negotiable that you have to do every single day.
My breath work.
I always get nervous when I ask that. There's a couple people coming on that I'm like, I'll go look at their eyes before they answer if they keep that PGA. Breathwork. Breathwork's been massive for you, the last couple of years. It's been massive for a lot of people, I feel like, in our circle that's kind of embraced it.
It's always in my mind, bro. I even shut my daughter's mouth when she's breathing. When her mouth's open and she's sleeping, I just go and shut her mouth, close it shut. Like, breathe through your nose.
You know, it's funny, and this is going a little bit off topic, but my partner, we were talking about this. I wanted to get her into it, and I've tried for so long to get her into it. And then I think I said something in reference to you doing something, and then that, for whatever reason, didn't want to listen to me, but because Brad said it was okay, she like that tipped it over. And she just read the James Nestor's book. And now she's taping her mouth every night. I'm thinking, flipping tables, going, how long have I been telling you about this? And blah, blah, blah.
You wait. Her asthma will be gone in no time.
Next question, very last one. And this is a good one for you. Advice for young fighters who are wanting to do what you do and get to where you are now.
Oh, I hate this question. So many things I'll tell you not to do. I think be an open book, with all your training, right? And I think train as much as you can. By that I don't mean like go full full retard and do high intensity and go live all the time, but like train as much as you can, like your skill set. Because strength, speed, and power, all that stuff can be like. And fitness, that shit that's short term, you can gain that pretty quick. But man, like a solid skill set is going to take you a long way in the sport, especially when you're young now, because people are getting into this shit so young. You need to spend so much time on the mats doing everything, man. I mean, you look at Gordon Ryan. He spent a shitload of time on the mats in a short period of time, and now he's murking the whole world. So you need to spend hours on your skill set, especially if you plan on, if you're 10 years or so younger than me and you plan on getting to the UFC in the next like 4 or 5 years, it's going to be hard. There's going to be some freaks in there. So like you need to definitely put the time in there. And if you want to be a professional fighter and this be your career, like you're going to have to be prepared to be broke and don't care about it. Just keep training. You'll make some money eventually.
Be good. And I like to finish all of these because what we are doing with this podcast is I'm getting on people who I think are high performers in their field who I consider the best in their field, doing what they're doing and breaking down why it is that way. And I think 3 points that are jumping out to me, feel free to correct me or add any that you got in. Number 1, put in the work and develop your craft. Quake's rule number 1. I was going to say number 2, as I think for you, get a good coach and mentor, because I feel like you were that to a lot of people in Tiger Muay Thai, and then Eugene came and then was that to you, and now you continue to be that to a lot of people, not just at City Kickboxing. Not so you do your Quake Combat on YouTube, and you're a good coach mentor to a lot of people, but get a good coach and mentor, role model, whatever it is that you're doing. Very last thing, Quake's high performance characteristics, be a sponge and always be willing to learn and open your mind and make sure you're always looking to improve yourself. Yeah. Anything you'd add into that?
But I'd say judge people for yourself too,
Yeah.
Sort of fuck everyone else's opinions on people, just meet themselves, make your own judgment. And if people try and make you conform, do not conform.
Do not conform. I'm putting that down as number 4. Do not conform. All right. Brad, Quake, Riddell. Unfortunately, we didn't get the fight we were all looking for Gregor Gillespie. But as we let leak, and I'm not sure if we're going to get in trouble by management for letting that leak on this podcast, but there is a fight coming up June 12th. So if people want to follow along, they want to get you on Instagram, you've got one of the best YouTube coaching channels in the world. If you're a martial artist, give us all your socials, give us the YouTube, give us the plug.
Oh yeah, YouTube's Quake Combat. Go on there. There's some good ones lately. There's some vlogs coming out, and then what is Instagram? Quake Riddell, I think. Quake City, something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
At Brad Quake Riddell for Instagram. All right. I'll let you get back to it. I'm sure Shane's stressing out once you get you back.
No, he's been in the bathroom for the whole 2 hours, so I'm not sure what he's doing.
Yeah, I don't want to know, but I'll chat to him about it on Saturday. All right, Quake, I'll chat to you soon. Cheers for coming on.
All right, bro. Later. Thank you.
And there it is, part 2 of our 2-part series with UFC lightweight Brad Quake Riddell. And what an interesting insight into the mind of a top-level UFC fighter. Just going over those 4 high-performance points that Brad made at the end. Number 1, always be a sponge and always be willing to learn. Number 2, get a good coach or mentor to guide you. Number 3, put in the work and develop your craft. And number 4, do not conform. As always, guys, thanks so much for listening in, and I'll see you guys for the next episode of the Train Aid Performance Podcast.